Welcome to the place where excuses die and discipline rises. This isn't just another motivation channel, it's a wake-up call. If you're tired of watching from the sidelines, if you're sick of just wanting success and ready to fight for it, you're exactly where you need to be. Here, we don't just talk about goals, we grind for them. We don't glorify talent, we live obsessed. We don't wait for perfect timing. We move through the pain, we talk less. We prove more, and every single video. It's built to push you past your limits and into your purpose. So if you're done making excuses, done being comfortable, and ready to become everything you were born to be, hit that subscribe button and let's get to work. Everybody says they want to be successful. Everybody. It's the anthem now. I want more. I'm grinding. I'm chasing my dreams. But let me tell you something that most won't. Desire without discipline is just decoration. You can scream about it, post about it, dream about it, but if you don't have the discipline to stay locked in when nobody's watching, it's all noise. See, desire is emotional. It's easy to feel motivated when you're at the top of your game, when things are going smooth, when people are clapping for you. But discipline shows up when your feelings don't. That's the difference. When it's cold, when it's dark, when you're tired, when the world says, take a break, and your spirit says, no, we're not done yet, that's discipline, and that's what separates the almost from the always. You don't get to just want success. You've got to earn it. And earning it means making choices when it's inconvenient, when it's painful, when it costs you sleep, relationships, comfort. Because the truth is, success demands a price. And if you're not paying in sweat, you're not paying attention. We live in a generation that worships motivation but runs from structure. You want to know what builds greatness, not hype, not vibes, not followers. Routines, habits, standards, waking up early when you don't want to. Saying no to the party so you can say yes to your purpose. Doing the right thing when no one's checking. That's where the real success lies. In the boring, in the disciplined, in the daily decision to stay the course. There's this idea floating around that passion will carry you, that if you love it enough it'll all fall into place. That's a lie. Passion fades, emotions change, but discipline, that's a foundation. That's the thing that keeps you going after the fire goes out, after the applause stops, after the motivation disappears. I've seen too many people fall in love with the dream, but cheat on the work. You want the result, but not the routine. You want the destination, but not the detour. That's not how it works. You've got to be married to the grind, loyal to the hustle, faithful to the process even when it gets ugly. Especially when it gets ugly, because it will get ugly. Success isn't this beautiful, polished thing. It's messy. It's filled with rejection, failure, delays, loneliness. But if you can show up in those moments and still give 100%, that's when the game changes. That's when you start stepping into who you're really meant to be. Not when things are easy, but when you push through anyway. People love the idea of wanting it bad. But let me ask you something. How bad do you really want it? Bad enough to turn off distractions. Bad enough to cut out the excuses. Bad enough to sacrifice popularity for purpose. Because if you don't want it bad enough to change, you don't want it bad enough to win. And I'm not talking about perfect discipline. I'm not saying you'll never fall off. I'm saying you've got to be real enough to get back up. Quick, to check yourself when you slip, to course, correct fast and get back in position. That's grown man, grown woman work. That's championship level commitment. That's what turns desire into legacy. At some point, you've got to stop chasing motivation and start mastering consistency. That's the shift. Because motivation might get you started, but only discipline will keep you going. You want success? Good. Then get serious, get intentional, and understand it's not going to show up because you want it. It's going to show up because you worked for it, when it was hard and when it was heavy. And if you're not willing to do that, then stop calling it a dream. Call it what it really is, a wish everybody wants to be great, until it gets uncomfortable. Until the work starts to hurt, until the schedule gets tight, until life starts pressing down on you. That's when you find out who's real and who's just talking. You see, comfort is the enemy of greatness. It sounds simple, but it's the truth that most people spend their whole lives trying to ignore. You can't grow and stay comfortable at the same time. You can't elevate and hold on to the old habits that made you average. Greatness demands discomfort, not just sometimes, every time. And if you're still sitting around waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect conditions, the perfect mindset, you don't want it bad enough. Because real winners don't wait for ideal. They move in the messy. They show up when it's awkward. They press forward even when everything in them says sit down. People love to say, I'll start when I feel ready. Let me tell you something. You will never feel fully ready. Not for success, not for greatness, not for the grind it takes to build a life that matters. There's always going to be a reason to wait. There's always going to be something you could fix or could prepare first. But the ones who win don't make decisions based on feelings. They make decisions based on calling, based on conviction. They know that progress doesn't care about your comfort. It just asks for your commitment. There's no version of success that lets you stay in your comfort zone. None. The moment you decide to rise, life is going to test you. That alarm clock's going to feel louder. That weight is going to feel heavier. That rejection is going to hit harder. But if you keep going, especially when you don't want to, that's when the shift happens. That's when you stop playing with potential and start walking in power. Most people fold when it gets tough, not because they're weak, but because they were taught to chase ease. We're in a world that glorifies convenience, fast food, fast money, fast fame, but greatness is slow. It's earned in silence, it's forged in fire, and most of that fire, it burns in uncomfortable places. Early mornings, late nights, lonely rooms, hard conversations. You can't microwave mastery. You've got to sweat for it. There's this lie that success should feel good, that if it's right, it won't be hard. Let me tell you, the right thing is often the hardest thing. The road to your destiny isn't paved with ease, it's paved with endurance. With resistance, with obstacles, and every time you push past one, you're proving to the world and to yourself that you're serious. Comfort will trick you. It will convince you to play it safe. It'll say, you've done enough. It'll whisper, you can try again tomorrow. But that's the voice of average, and if you keep listening, you'll wake up a decade from now with regrets instead of results. You'll wonder what could have happened if you had just leaned into the hard instead of running from it. The people who win, they don't feel like showing up every day, but they do. They don't always have the energy, but they bring what they've got. They don't avoid the uncomfortable, they embrace it, because they understand the pain of discipline is always less than the pain of regret. And every rep, every sacrifice, every uncomfortable step forward is building something real. If you're sitting there waiting for life to get easier before you get serious, let me be the one to tell you, it's not going to. Life's not going to hand you greatness. It's not going to knock on your door and invite you into your dream. You've got to break your own comfort zone. You've got to put yourself in the places where growth lives. Places that stretch you, challenge you, shake you up. That's where the breakthrough hides, so if it hurts a little right now, good. If it's uncomfortable, good. That means you're doing it right. That means you're not wasting your life chasing ease. You're chasing elevation. And the ones who are willing to get uncomfortable the longest, those are the ones who win the most. So stop looking for comfort. Start looking for your calling. Everybody's talking. Social media's loud. Everybody's got a vision board, a quote, a promise, a plan. But here's what nobody wants to hear. Talk is cheap and time is expensive. You can't afford to waste another second explaining your dreams to people who aren't even building theirs. At some point, you've got to learn to move in silence and let your work speak volumes. Talk less, prove more. Don't tell people what you're going to do. Show them. Let them feel it in the results. Let them see it in how you show up. Don't announce every step. Don't post every plan. You're not building a fan base. You're building a legacy, and real legacies don't need validation before they're complete. They need focus, discipline, and execution. Quiet execution. The ones who move the world forward don't waste time trying to impress it. They're not busy bragging, they're busy becoming, and the reason most people don't get what they want, because they never stop talking long enough to do the work. They love the sound of ambition, but they never develop the discipline to back it up. It's always, "I'm gonna do this," or "just wait on it." No, we've waited long enough. The world doesn't need your promise. It needs your performance. You see, loud people stay broke, not just financially, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally, because they're too focused on the show to put in the substance. They want applause without action. They want respect without results. But real hustlers, they know better. They don't need the world to clap while they're climbing. They understand that the grind doesn't need an audience. It just needs consistency. Let your results do the talking. Let your discipline be your defense when they doubt you. Cool, you don't need to argue. You don't need to explain. You just keep showing up. You keep stacking wins. And soon enough, your success will speak so loudly, they won't remember what you said. They'll remember what you built. People want to skip the process and jump straight to the platform. But what you don't build in silence will collapse in the spotlight. If your foundation isn't built in the dark, your success will break in the light. So build quietly, study when they sleep, work when they party, prepare when they pause. Not because you're trying to prove something to the world, but because you're proving it to yourself. There's power in being quiet and focused, power in moving without a press release, power in showing up without warning and letting your work slap the table. But that takes humility, that takes patience. That takes confidence, not the fake kind that needs to be seen, but the kind that doesn't care who's watching. You've got to get to the point where you love the process more than the praise, where you're more obsessed with the craft than the credit, where you're not moved by noise because you've already made a decision. You're not here to be seen. You're here to succeed. Some people are busy being loud because they don't believe they'll ever actually make it. So they hype it up to fill the silence where results should be. But you don't need to talk like them. You don't need to announce every move. Your next step doesn't need an audience. It needs execution. And when they come around and say, "I didn't know you were doing all that," you just smile, because you were never trying to impress them anyway. You were too busy becoming the version of you that doesn't need to say a word to be respected. So let them talk, let them shout, let them post. You stay focused, you stay grounded, and every single day you let your effort echo louder than your ego. Because when it's all said and done, nobody remembers what you said. You'll be remembered for what you did. Excuses sound good until they don't, until they start stacking up like bricks, until one day you look around and realize you've built yourself into a prison, a house of could've, should've, and maybe tomorrow. But the truth is simple. Excuses are nails that build the house of regret. Every time you choose an excuse over effort, you push your brake through one step further away, and then you wonder why nothing changes. You say you're waiting on the right opportunity, waiting on support, waiting on motivation, but what you're really doing is protecting your comfort. You're using excuses as armor to avoid the pain of growth. But growth doesn't care about how you feel. Growth doesn't negotiate with your fears. And success only shows up when you stop explaining your limitations and start expanding your actions. Every excuse is a delay in your progress, a delay in your purpose, a delay in your destiny. And here's the real danger. You can get so good at justifying your delays that you start thinking it's normal. You convince yourself that circumstances are permanent, that your background is a barrier, that your past is a prison. But none of that is true unless you keep making it true by excusing your way out of what's possible. You ever notice how the people who make the most excuses also make the least progress? That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. And if you don't break it, it will break you. The people who win in life, the ones who really rise, they don't have easier roads. They just make harder choices. They don't wait for the situation to be perfect. They make it work anyway, because they understand you either make excuses or you make adjustments, but you can't do both. Excuses give you a story to tell when the results don't show up. They give you a false sense of relief, a soft place to land when you fall short. But if you're tired of falling short, you've got to rip the safety net. You've got to call yourself out, be honest, brutally honest. Are you really trying? Or are you just saying the right words to avoid doing the real work? You're not stuck. You're just scared, and that's okay. Fear is part of the process. But what's not okay is building your identity around what you can't do. You weren't created to make excuses. You were created to overcome them. You've got to decide that your future is more important than your fear, that your purpose is bigger than your problems, and that your success is too valuable to keep trading for comfort. You've got to stop looking for external permission to change your life. Nobody's coming to rescue you. Nobody's going to push you past your excuses for you. That's your job. That's your fight. That's your responsibility. The moment you stop blaming and start building is the moment your entire life shifts. Yeah, you might be tired. You might have every reason to quit. You might have a list of challenges that would make other people fold. But you're not other people. You're built for more, and the only way you're going to prove that is by cutting out the noise and getting to work. Every single day, without apology and without excuse. People will understand your excuses, but life won't. Life only pays out based on effort. You can explain your story to the world, but the results you want, they're only handed to those who show up regardless of how they feel. So show up, even if it's messy, even if it's slow, even if no one else claps, because progress doesn't require perfection. It just requires no excuses. So if you've been sitting on the sidelines waiting for things to get easier, hear me clearly. It's not going to get easier. You've just got to get stronger. You've got to decide that the price of discipline is worth more than the comfort of excuse making, because the cost of your excuses, it's your destiny, it's your peace, it's your purpose. And the longer you hold on to them, the heavier that regret is going to be. So stop building with nails made of fear. Start building with choices made in faith. Talent's nice. It'll get you noticed. It'll get you a few compliments, maybe a few doors cracked open. But talent alone won't take you where obsession will. Everybody's got some kind of gift that's not special anymore. What's special is the one who's willing to bleed for it. The one who stays locked in long after it stops being exciting. The one who keeps showing up when nobody's clapping. That's rare, that's power. See, talent is what you're born with. Obsession is what you choose. And when it comes down to it, life rewards the obsessed, not the interested, not the casual, not the part-time dreamers, the ones who are all in, the ones who don't need motivation because they've already made a decision, the ones who don't care about balance because they're building something bigger than comfort. They don't chase moods, they chase mastery. Too many people waste their gift because they thought talent would be enough. They thought the world would hand them a crown just for showing up with potential. But potential doesn't get crowned. It gets crushed if you don't protect it. You've got to guard your gift with grit. You've got to fuel it with obsession. That's the only way you make it last. You know what obsession looks like. It looks like doing it again, even when you're tired, even when you're bored, even when nobody's watching. Obsession is repetition without applause. It's progress without praise. It's not glamorous. It's gritty. It's quiet. It's lonely, but that's where legends are made, right there in the repetition, in the obsession. People think they lost because they didn't have what someone else had. No, most people lose because they stop too soon. They let feelings decide what should have been faith. They got distracted, got discouraged, thought the struggle meant they weren't chosen. But struggle doesn't mean you're not chosen. It means you're being shaped. And only the obsessed survive the shaping. It's easy to want something when you're good at it. But what happens when it stops being easy? What happens when the natural talent hits a wall and it's no longer enough to coast? That's when obsession steps in. That's when the real ones rise, because they don't stop at good enough. They're not trying to prove anything to anyone else. They're chasing what's possible. They're driven by something deeper than approval. Obsession is dangerous to people who gave up, because it reminds them of what they could have been. So they'll try to talk you out of it, tell you to slow down, to be realistic, to take a break. Ignore them. They're not chasing what you're chasing. They didn't see what you saw. They don't feel what you feel. You don't need them to understand your fire. You just need to protect it. There's a difference between being gifted and being great. Gifted people make waves. Obsessive people change the current. Gifted people have moments. Obsessive people build movements, and the ones who go the farthest, they're not always the most talented. They're just the most committed. They decided a long time ago that comfort was not an option, and quitting was never on the table. So stop asking if you have what it takes. You do, that's not the question. The question is, do you want it bad enough to stay obsessed? Even when the results are slow, even when nobody sees the work, even when it feels like it's all for nothing, can you keep going? Can you keep showing up? Can you keep giving your best with no guarantee of applause? Because if you can do that, you've already won. Everybody wants something. That part's easy. People talk about dreams like they're guaranteed, like saying it out loud makes it start walking toward you. But let me make this clear. You don't get what you want. You get what you're willing to fight for, period. Wanting it isn't enough. Hoping isn't enough. Talking about it every other day like it's already yours won't get you one step closer. You've got to fight for it. Dreams don't come with receipts. They come with a price. And life's not handing out discounts just because you've got potential. You either pay in full, with blood, sweat, focus, and sacrifice, or you walk away empty-handed. That's the transaction, and most people, they don't walk away because they didn't want it. They walk away because they weren't willing to pay the price. You've got to decide how bad you want it, not in theory. Not when it's comfortable, not when the crowd is clapping, but when you're tired, when the doors keep closing, when it feels like nothing's working. Are you still willing to fight then? Because that's the moment that separates the dreamers from the doers. When everything in you wants to quit, and you show up anyway. See, everybody can fight when they're winning. That's not hard. But champions are born when it's not going their way, and they still refuse to back down. When they're behind, bleeding out of breath, and they still say, I'm not done. That kind of spirit, that's what it takes, because this life, this success, it doesn't care about your feelings. It only responds to your fight. The problem is we've got too many people trying to manifest something they won't sweat for. Too many people praying for something they're not preparing for, talking about big dreams but putting in small effort. That's not how this works. This doesn't happen by accident. It happens by warfare. It happens by grind. It happens by deciding that excuses don't live here, only effort does. The price might be lonely nights. It might be cutting off the noise, losing friends, changing habits. It might be missing out on what looks fun now to build something that lasts forever. That's the trade. That's what you're fighting through. And if you're not willing to give something up, then don't expect anything great to show up. You ever wonder why most people stay average? It's not because they didn't have a dream. It's because they wanted the dream to come easy. They wanted the success without the struggle, the crown without the cross. But success doesn't give you what you imagine. It gives you what you earn, and earning it, that means fight. every single day. Fight to stay focused, fight to keep moving, fight to get back up when life hits you harder than you expected. It's not about talent, it's not about luck, it's about staying in the ring, swinging when your arms are heavy, believing when your eyes are blurry, working when your legs are shaking. The moment you decide that nothing else matters more than this goal, that's the moment life starts moving with you instead of against you. But it won't come a second before, and don't expect applause for this fight. Don't expect people to get it. Half of them gave up on their own dream, and now they want to convince you to settle too. Ignore them. Let them watch, let them doubt, let them disappear, because you're not doing this for claps. You're doing this for legacy. You're doing this because something inside you won't let you stop. So yeah, keep wanting it. But don't forget, that want alone means nothing. If you don't back it with fight, with hunger, with discipline, then it stays a fantasy. And this world doesn't hand out trophies for wishful thinking. It crowns the ones who are willing to go through hell and still say, "Is that all you've got?" So if you're tired of waiting, if you're tired of watching other people win while you sit in silence, then it's time to stop wanting and start warring. If this hit your soul, don't just sit with it, move with it. Like the video, drop a comment with "I'm locked in," and hit that subscribe button if you're ready to stop talking and start becoming. We're not chasing hype, we're building habits. We're not waiting on motivation, we're choosing discipline. And if that's your mindset, you belong here. Turn on the bell, because your next breakthrough might be in the next video. Let's go!